Welcome in, race fans, and welcome back to another Sunday night race here with No Toad Racing League. It's been a couple of weeks, but we are back with the guys from No Toads, picking it back up with Laguna Sucka. This is going to be the second and last road course of the season. These guys racing at the Daytona road course earlier in the season, a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, we were not here to broadcast that. I wish I would have been, though. That's one of my favorite tracks. I know a lot of guys probably ready to get this race done with, but there are a few gems out here tonight as far as the road course racing goes. Skylar Carnes winning at Daytona road course, so you got to throw his name into the hat of favorites here tonight. But as we look through some of the driver stats here, there is a handful of A-class drivers: Marty Rogers, John Barton, and John Campbell, all with their A-class, and everybody else behind them B, C, or lower. So Skylar might have a little bit of a hot streak going on right now, but there are plenty of drivers in this field that have the license and the I rating to where I think this is going to make for a really good race up front. Speaking of Skylar Carnes, we go over the driver standings heading into tonight, and he's right there on top. Total points, 165. Now, he's got 11 bonus points. That's important because Matthew Piercini, right behind him in second, has 157 points. So if Skylar doesn't pick up all those extra bonus points, he may not have the standings lead. He comes in tonight, though, with 3 wins on the season, the only multiple win driver so far. He's got 3 top 5s, and he is on a bit of a hot streak. Matthew Piercini again second with 157. Johnny Brugg up 4 spots with 135 points. Marty Rogers, who we talked about, he's an A-class. He's going to be looking at tonight's race as maybe his best chance to move up into the points, be able to jump above Johnny Brugg and Matthew Piercini. He's got 134. Kendall Kerr with 130 points in that 5th spot. Alan Dixon in 6th with 128. Jason Benson in 7th. Gary Sargent 8th. John Campbell in 9th. And John Crutchley in that 10th spot. He's moved up 10 spots. Now he is tied with Douglas Kelly with 110 points. So a lot on the line here tonight as I take a look at the schedule here. After tonight, of course, the Laguna Sucka 100 being sponsored tonight by No Toad's very own Al Corey. It's going to be 45 laps here. We head to Bristol Dirt next week for the Mid-South Sports Report Dirt Derby 200 presented by Matt Piercini. So we got 2 races here in a row, a road course and then the dirt track at Bristol, that I think a lot of these guys are looking at a big opportunity to be able to get some points to where some of the drivers in the field, they're just not going to be good at. I mean, look, you're either really good at road courses or you're not. So here tonight we may see some people who we don't normally see up front be able to make a run for the win, and the same could be said about the Bristol Dirt next week. After that, it's we head to Michigan on the 24th, Langley Speedway on the 31st. That's the Monster Bash 250. Iowa road course, so that's my mistake. I just said the Laguna Sucka was going to be the final road course. My mistake. Right there on November 7th, we're going to do 58 laps at the Iowa road course before heading to Kansas Speedway for the Bling Bling Sisters 150. Before capping off the season November 21st at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So only 8 weeks left in the season. And right now, so far, it's really been all about this 47 car right here. Now, No Toad Racing League has a very impressive streak going. 20 seasons they've been together. A lot of these drivers have been here throughout. They know how to race around each other. They know what they're doing. But right now, it's that young kid in the 47 car just really making a name for himself here and in other leagues as well, especially in these ARCA cars. Dustin Barton, though, comes in with a 131.37, so he's got to shave a little bit off that time. Everybody right now chasing Skylar Carnes in the practice session. Under 2 minutes left in this session before we flip over to the qualifying. John Campbell in third, Kyle Gretsch in fourth, and Ileana Hamilton in fifth here in the practice with a 132.76. So it's a close battle up there between Skylar and Dustin right now, just under a half a second. But then after that, that's when Skylar really starts to separate himself from the rest of the field. Third place right now, John Campbell, a 132.45, about a second and a half back. So certainly some time being left out there on the track for some of these drivers. They're going to have to find it throughout the race here. It looks like everybody coming down pit road, perhaps maybe a driver's meeting, or with under a minute left, maybe they're just ready to go racing. No color commentary here tonight. Apparently Trey isn't going to make it, so it'll be a one-man show here. So hopefully we don't have too much dead air time, and we'll do the best we can calling this race solo. For you guys watching at home, of course, we appreciate you tuning in on the YouTube at No Toad Racing League on YouTube.com. You can also find this being live streamed over on Twitch.com/FadedTV. Look for the profile picture that you see on the top right of your screen right there, that Faded TV logo. And for all the other action that we call during the week. Looks like 2 seconds. We're going to close up this practice session here at the Laguna Sucka 100, presented by Al Corey. It's going to be 35 laps, I believe, is what I saw on the schedule here at Laguna Seca. Of course, this track bringing a lot of history with it. If you know even just a little bit about road courses, you've heard of Laguna Seca, a very infamous track here that these guys will be running on here tonight. Of course, IRL, those guys racing, in the Cup Series and the Xfinities, racing at the Roval this weekend, led for some very exciting racing, both in the Xfinity and that showdown at the end of the Roval with Kyle Larson taking that win. Things were heating up between Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott once again. Kevin Harvick just out of touch, I think, but this isn't the platform to talk about that. As we start getting into the qualifying session, this isn't going to be your normal 5-minute qualifying session for obvious reasons. Outlap here is going to take these guys probably about 2 minutes to get around. They're not going to be going full speed, putting some heat on their tires, making sure that their brakes get warmed up, and then even at the quickest time, we're looking at a 1:30. So to get 2 laps in, you're looking on the better half of 3 minutes, plus the outlap. So that gives these guys plenty of time to get on the track and get a qualifying lap done. And it looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of a multi-car qualifying. Appreciate Al Corey for putting together that intro video. I think that's something we're going to try to do weekly here with the guys from No Toad Racing League. Just to add a little bit of excitement to the beginning of these streams. Johnny Brugg still waiting to take the track. Kyle Gretsch out there. We'll hop on board with Skylar Carnes as he takes a lap around Laguna Seca. Onto the front stretch here, so his outlap is done. He should have a full go here onto the front stretch down into turn 1. This is a heavy braking zone right here. It's a pretty long straightaway for these ARCAs. They're going to be braking relatively early. And technically it's 2 turns right there. That's 1 and 2, but you almost have to treat it like it's 1 turn. You really want to make sure that you're taking that wide so that you can hit that second apex with as much speed as possible coming out of there with as much momentum. A little bit of a lift through turn 4. It's another, it's not really a long straight, but it's one of the longer straights here. Into a little left-hander. Tires are going to be important here, as we have a small straight. Leads to a quick left-hander there. You carry as much momentum as you can through there. If you mess that up, you're probably going to get past. And then here is the corkscrew. This is going to be the toughest part of the track right here. It's a quick left-hander with a downslope right-hander. Very difficult to make your way through, especially in a stock car. And then you kind of go through this mini carousel right there before the last right-hander. Again, trying to carry as much speed out of that corner as possible before hitting the last left-hander on the track. This one, you're probably going all the way down to first gear and then back onto the front stretch. So that's a lap around Laguna Sucka. Oh, and it looks like Skyler right there. You see the track almost goes up and then a slight downhill right there. We'll have to see if drivers have a issue with grip on that front stretch there before heading down into turn 1. See, you get a good picture of it right there as those 2 cars come flying over that front stretch. Dustin Barton right now with a 131.65. He's on top of the leaderboards currently. He's in the 13 car right there. Kyle Gretchen second with a 131.78. Of course, this is going to fluctuate throughout this session here. As you see the 13 car letting Tyler through. Trying to create as much separation as they can between each other. There's no need to fight and race on these qualifying laps here. You want as smooth of a qualifying session as you can, but Dustin Barton right now with the quickest time. Matt Piracini in the 24 Chevrolet coming in third right now with a 133.00. Tyler Merritt, 133.05. He's right there to match Matt Piracini. John Campbell in fifth with a 133.18. Michael McCuskey now moves up into the top 5, right there in that third spot with a 132.59. Now in practice, before about half these drivers came in, it was the 72 Chevrolet of Ileana Hamilton. He was up there on that leaderboard for quite some time before the inevitable of Skyler Carnes coming in and taking over that top spot. But right now, Skyler finding a 1.38.39. So he's way off his normal pace, about 7 seconds. He's got a couple of minutes here to be able to pick that pace up. Not too sure. Maybe he slipped after we got out of that cockpit cam, right before that start-finish line. Might have started losing it there, which is why his time was not to his standards, if you will. And then some of these guys who really need to find some pace on the back end here is going to be James Lawson and David Rhodes. These guys are in the 50s. 1.55.56 is David Rhodes. James Lawson, a 1.56.98. However, both those drivers in the rookie status for their road class. So these guys might be new to road racing. They're certainly not practicing it on their own. And these guys coming into these kinds of races, their mindset is just survive the race, have a good time, have a lot of fun, which Laguna Sucka can be. It can be a challenging course, regardless of what vehicle you're in. But certainly, you know, these stock cars aren't going to handle like your GT GT4s or your GT3s. A lot more finesse with these cars. If you're familiar with the ARCA series, their brakes aren't always the best. As I say that, James Lawson actually took about 10 seconds off his first lap. He comes in with a 146.93. So the 66 machine right here shedding 10 seconds off that last go around. A phenomenal job there. So David Rhodes now with the 155. He's in pit road. He may not be looking to better that time again. He might just be hanging out in the back, having some fun, and driving to survive tonight. Johnny Brugg making his way onto the track this time. He's got a 133.17. Again, moving up 4 spots in the standings after last week. He finds himself with the 8th quickest time so far, right behind Tyler Merritt and Matt Piracini. And there is the time we were looking for out of that 47 car, a 130.72, nearly a second quicker than the Canadian Dustin Barton. And I think Skyler's going to be okay with that. Only 65 seconds left in this session. He's going to come down pit road. So that time of a 130.72. Still, I think, maybe a little bit slower than his practice session that we just came over from. Dustin Barton, though, still up in that second spot with a 131.65. He's a B-class driver, 1,500 I rating on the road courses. Kyle Gretsch, a C-class driver, 131.78 is his time. Matt Piracini, the only driver that has a rookie license in the top 10. He's sitting in 6th with a 133.0. So not a bad start for Matt Piracini tonight in the practice and the qualifying sessions. Of course, on road courses, you can be the fastest guy out there all you want, but road course racing, especially in stock cars, but in any car, is going to be all about consistency, making sure that each lap you're hitting your braking marks, you're not overdriving into the corners, you're feathering the accelerator, you're hitting your downshifts, you're not getting any tire spin. So that's really the key thing. A lot of these drivers that are outside the top 5 but inside the top 10, that's one thing that they could bank on, is just be consistent. If you can hit these 133s, 134s, 135s consistently, you're not going off track, you're not spinning, you're not wrecking, then you have a shot at the end of these races to get a really good finish. Anything can happen on the road course. Of course, I would have to assume that at the very most we'll have local cautions only, maybe no cautions at all. But a local caution, guys, is pretty much, it's just going to allow a driver to know that they're coming up on either a wreck or a car that maybe went off track, and it just means proceed with caution. That's what a local caution is. Slow it down, proceed with caution. We're not going to, pull out caution laps here. And especially if those local cautions are turned off and we have no cautions, then we have nothing to worry about. But there should be a green flag the whole way through. So that's going to do it. These times are official. Skyler Carnes, Dustin Barton going to be starting on that front row. Kyle Gretsch in the 7 Chevrolet, 3rd. Michael McCuskey, 4th. Al Corey, the sponsor for tonight's race, the Laguna Sucka 100. Couldn't do it without the race sponsors. And here at Faded TV, our own partner, McConey Setup Shops. Hats off to them. Appreciate that partnership that we have with them this season. If you're looking for a open setup, definitely check out McConey Setup Shops today. Use code FADEDTV for 15% off checkout. That's going to be about as big of a discount as it gets with those guys. They have monthly subscriptions, coaching, and or single setups for that week. And they do come out with setups each and every week for whatever the officials are for that week. So here is your grid. Of course, No Toad Racing League. This is their 20th season. And this is not week 3 at Talladega. I apologize for that. Let's just get that out of there. That's not the important part, though. Of course, the important part are the drivers that are on said grid. We have 23 drivers here tonight. And again, should make for some interesting races here tonight. Of course, there's always going to be a race favorite coming in here tonight. But again, there's plenty of drivers in this lobby with B license, A license, and C license. So I think we're going to have some pretty good competition out there. And it looks like we're going to skip an outlap altogether. That's going to be the green flag right there as Skyler Carnes comes barreling down into turn 1 all by himself up there. A nice jump for Skyler Carnes. Dustin Barton as well behind him. Single file throughout the first 3. A battle for 4th right now between Michael McCuskey and Hamilton in the 72 car. It looks like Hamilton, though, going to concede that position to the 22 car of Michael McCuskey. Has a win under his belt here with the Arcas. Right now, pretty clean first lap here at Laguna Sucka. There's Matt Piracini right there. Had a pretty good practice time right now. Sponsored by Mid-South Sports Report Podcast and TAC Designs. As we make our way through the corkscrew there. Looks like we only have one casualty through this first lap. That's going to be James Lawson. Let's go ahead and take a look at a replay of what happened to Lawson here on lap 1 in the 66 car, minus the blinking. Yeah, unfortunately, he's having some connection issues. He pulls off to the side. So an unfortunate start for him. But a pretty good first lap. I'm actually quite impressed, to be honest with you guys. As I was saying, Laguna Sucka, not the easiest road course to get these stock cars around. Anytime you see a road course in these leagues, it's usually Watkins Glen, Daytona Road Course. Some more well-known. Skyler Carnes, though, off to a big lead, 2.3 seconds in front of Dustin Barton. Oh, Dustin getting a little bit loose. He's going to go into the sand. Looks like he's going to be able to save it, but he's certainly going to lose some positions there. A good job, though. That's important. Not to overreact or overdrive when you get an off track like that. So a fine job from the number 13 car, Dustin Barton. Unfortunately, though, losing 2 spots. He's going to drop back down. Well, he's dropping even more now. After the carousel, he drops all the way back to 6th. So he's going to have to regroup here. Of course, 45 laps here at Laguna Sucka. Plenty of time to do so. No need to hit the panic button right now if you're him. Johnny Brugg behind him. These guys make their way through the front stretch. Again, turn 1, going to be the heaviest braking zone for these guys. This is the turn right here that can make or break your race. If you get sent off in turn 1, it's going to cost you a little bit more than just some track position. Back here in the 10th spot, Kendall Kerr. He's got Alan Dixon behind him, along with Jacob Klinkart. But 3 laps in, everybody's kind of settled in. It appears we're single file pretty much throughout the entire field. And this is what you want if you're any of these drivers right now. Is just everybody settling in early on into the race. You're able to just focus on your braking marks and really get yourself into a rhythm, and that's going to allow these drivers to do so. Oh, we got a wreck there, Alan Dixon in the 33 with a little bit of a slide job, I think. No other car affected by that. He's going to be able to get back on the track safely. So a good job by Alan Dixon there. Unfortunately, again, losing the track position, but being able to save his car. He's got no damage there, able to come back onto the track safely, and only loses 1 spot. That goes to Marty Rogers now in the 27 Chevrolet. So good job by Alan Dixon there to be able to save any real damage. 23 drivers making the field here tonight. As we make our way and find our way back to the 47 Chevrolet of Skylar Carnes. We talked about it at the top of this broadcast, winning the Daytona Road Course, so I think he was easily the favorite coming in here tonight. A fine young driver. Races in multiple ARCA leagues, does pretty well in all of them, so certainly a bright future for this kid in sim racing. Talking with the one of the owners of No Toad Racing League, I believe, Skylar Carnes and Johnny Brugg going to take a stab at the Road to Pro next season. So certainly going to be spending a lot of time in their sim over the next year as they gear up to try to take the professional route here in sim racing. Wish them nothing but the best of luck. Kyle Gretsch moving up into second place after Dustin Barton had that little off track there. It's going to be hard to keep up with all these off-track incidences. We'll show a few here and there. Anybody who comes up in the red we'll probably go to, but we're not going to go back to replay every off-track because there's going to be a lot of them, and especially with road course racing, if you're not getting an off-track here and there, you're really not pushing your car 100%. So here we go. We have Jaden Kunsturk, I believe is how you pronounce that. He's in the red here. Let's take a back. And that's what we talked about, that part of the track right there. The heavy braking zone coming down into turn 1. And just the car gets out from underneath him. He's not really able to regain control, but does a good job locking up the brakes. Doesn't actually go off the track, so his tires should be fine. No damage to that number 8 car. Fine job by him. The 72 Chevrolet of Hamilton in third place right now. Oh, it looks like we have John Barton in an incident. Let's go back and take a look at this. Coming down that into the quick left-hander there. We talked about it a little bit on our lap around the track with Skylar Carnes. That is a very fast left-hander. You want to try to carry as much speed and momentum as you can through there. Easier said than done, especially in the ARCA cars, so he goes for a little bit of a ride there. Dustin Barton, Ileana Hamilton making their way through James Lawson, who's gone a lap down here in the early going, 6 laps out of 45. This will be the toughest aspect of the race here tonight. Once we start getting deeper into the race, the guys that are on the lead lap trying to race around the back markers, it's going to be so hard here, depending on what part of the track you're on. To be able to get away around there. Now, a rule of thumb for road course racing, it's a little bit different in the ovals. In the ovals, if you're a back marker, depending on most tracks, you know, unless otherwise communicated, you're probably reaching up high, trying to hit that high side, letting the leaders go down low. Here at the road course, it's not like that. If you're a back marker on the road course, you know you're getting lapped, the best thing you can do is just race your line. It's up to the guy trying to get around you to do just that, get around you. So if you're in that inside line, just stay there. Let the guy that's trying to make the pass go on the outside, get around you, because the last thing you want to do is be unpredictable. You don't want that car that's coming up from behind you, seeing you on the inside line. He's thinking in his head, okay, I'm just going to go on the outside, and then moments later, there you are going up high. So you want to be as predictable as possible in the road courses and ovals. Skyler extending his lead. Looks like he's a little over 2 seconds on Kyle, but behind that, Ileana Hamilton in third, back almost 8 seconds from the 47 car. You see him take that corkscrew right there. He is locked in. We have Wayne Hayes Jr. Looks like he's in the red. Let's go back and take a look at this 48 car. Nope, excuse me, it's the 2 car. As we take a look at this replay. Yep, just locking the brakes up a little bit. That's that last left-hander, and it is a sharp one. You're braking probably all the way down into first gear for most of these drivers. David Rhodes in the red here in the 21. Down that front stretch, down into turn 1. Oh, and he actually gets hit by the 42 car, and he goes around. Ileana Hamilton, we just were highlighting this driver in the 72. Looks like they're in the red. Oh, doing some dangerous That was pretty dangerous. Luckily, nobody was around him there, and he might have seen that in the relative. He might have known exactly what he was doing right there, but certainly a dangerous move when you lose it like that to try to get back out of the track right away. Johnny Bruggs having a pretty good run here too. Started 8th. He's up 2 spots in 6th. Just an impressive start right now. Lap 8. We've had a few drivers get off track, but they've been able to save it for the most part. No real damage. The guys that have avoided the sand here, just an impressive drive, especially through that corkscrew. I thought that would be the bigger issue on the track here, but these guys handling these stock cars as well as anybody could imagine. Alan Dixon up to 10th. He had that spill a few laps ago that knocked him out of the top 10. He's back up there in the top 10, right behind Kendall Kerr, in front of Tyler Merritt. See just how much those cars are lifted coming over that little hill there. Down into turn 1 and 2, a solid 1 and 2 for Alan Dixon as he's trying to chase down Kendall Kerr in that 30 car. Wayne Hayes Jr. coming up in the red. Let's take a look at what happened just a few moments ago with his second struggle of the night, if you will. Down there on that last turn. A lot of drivers struggling with that turn right there. That might be the first car to actually scrape the wall. Nothing serious there for the 2 car of Wayne Hayes Jr. But a lot of guys struggling through that last turn. Oh, and we might have a big one here. Let's take a look at this 8 car, Jaden. We have Jaden, David Rhodes, and Jason Benson all wrapped up. You see the 8 car overshoot there. The 21 hits the side. So nothing big there. Fine job by both those drivers. Of course, the 21 car coming into that turn with anticipation. He didn't know that the 8 car was going to overshoot it like that. Kyle Gretsch having a really solid run here in second place. Let's take a lap around with this 7 car. Onto the front stretch, coming into this heavy braking zone into turn 1. You can see just how much they got to man that steering wheel as they start their braking zone relatively early in these ARCA cars. A solid turn 1 before heading to this slight right-hander. Really trying to make sure you hit that curb. Use every bit of track that you can. Using these rumble strips to your advantage. Getting your tires right there on those rumble strips. A very high FOV for Kyle Gretsch. Of course, all personal preference for these drivers. Or maybe he's running in VR, so FOV that we see right now is obsolete. Good job through the corkscrew and through the carousel. Looks like we got some cars coming down pit road under green. That's the way you want to take that turn right there. And a phenomenal job by Kyle Gretsch, showing off why he is the second place car here tonight. Of course, still 5.75 seconds behind race leader Skylar Carnes. John Campbell up 3 spots so far. He's climbed his way up to 6th. Kendall Kerr, Alan Dixon still sitting 9th and 10th. John Barton up 7 spots in the 68, going through the corkscrew right now. Currently sitting in 16th, so a good start and a good run by John Barton. Looks like Dustin Barton in the red here. Let's take a look. This was your 3rd place driver. Fortunately for that 13 machine, did have a pretty solid lead. Nothing too serious there, just kind of overdriving through the corkscrew, locking up the brakes, but a fine job saving that car. We've seen some really good saves coming out of these drivers tonight. Sometimes when these stock cars, especially these ARCAs, I mean, once they start going out from under you, they're really hard to save, especially with iRacing and the infamous passenger slide that this sim has. Very hard to regain control. We've seen some pretty good driving here tonight. Looks like Brandon Ward out of this race. James Lawson, I think, as well. Some drivers to hang it up early. Jason Benson as well. So 3 drivers. Having a difficult go here. And here is the 47 car of Skylar Carnes. Or Carnes, excuse me. And the 8 car, unfortunately, obviously trying to get out of the way of Skyler, kind of overdrives it there. I think he was worried a little bit too much about the car behind him, pulls a Kevin Harvick and goes off the track. Doing a little bit of that mirror driving. Of course, not the same situation. Skyler wasn't going to come up and drive straight through him, but so being able to make his way through the lap traffic has afforded Skyler an 8.5 second lead over Kyle Gretsch. Of course, Dustin Barton in third, back almost 19 seconds, but he did have that spill off the track. Michael McCuskey in fourth, where he started this race, along with Ileana Hamilton in fifth. John Campbell, we spoke about, up 3 spots into sixth. Matt Piracini, Johnny Brugg, Kendall Kerr in 7th, 8th, and 9th, as Johnny Brugg makes the pass on the 24 car of Matt Piracini. Start seeing some of that sand and gravel make its way onto the asphalt here. I think the good thing about Laguna Sucka, or maybe the best thing about Laguna Sucka, is there's not, and we got a little bit of a scrap there between Johnny Brugg and Matt Piracini there. Johnny Brugg being able to make it out of there pretty successfully, I'd say, considering. Let's go back and take a look at that replay. Fortunately, the 24 car just coming in a little bit too hot there. Bruggs gets sent around 360 degrees, but is able to avoid the sand and keeps on going. Wayne Hayes again struggling a little bit at Laguna Sucka, but that's okay. Road courses not being everybody's strong suit here. This is a tough track. You can see him trying to still figure it out. Able to keep his car on the pavement, though, so that's good. Looking at the iRacing live timing being brought to you by SDK here tonight, we see a lot of off tracks. We're not going to cover them all, but these guys really pushing these ARCAs here at Laguna Sucka. This is the Laguna Sucka 100, being brought to you by No Toad Racing League's own Al Corey. I'm Brandon Robinson of Faded TV. We appreciate you guys tuning in here tonight, regardless of the platform that you're on, whether it's YouTube or Twitch. You see the track map on the right hand of your screen, just how spread out this field can get at Laguna Sucka. We're 15 laps in here. I'm not sure. I don't think we've seen the leaders come down pit road. I'm not sure what fuel percentage these guys are running to be able to calculate a fuel window for you guys. We'll just have to update you as the race goes on. Kyle Gretsch in second place, but unfortunately 17 plus seconds behind race leader Skyler Carnes. I don't know why I keep putting an L in there, Skyler. I apologize. Looks like Tyler Merritt getting off track here. Let's go back and take a look at this replay. He's in the pink car on your screen right now, and it looks like, Alan Dixon with a phenomenal job not getting into the back end of that G Fuel 53 car, but unfortunately, we continue to see the struggles on that last left-hander, David Rhodes, as well. Let's go back and take a look at this in the 21 car. Coming down the front stretch into turn one. We've seen a couple of drivers eat it here, and Yeah, you see that. That was a really weird knee-jerk reaction out of that car. Maybe a little too hard on the brakes there. Let's go back and look and take a look from the cockpit view. Yeah, it just started getting away from him a little bit there. To the point where I think he actually just took a tow back to the pits. Yes, he did. John Crutchley, also known as NOJ around here in the 48 car. He shows up into the red. Let's take a look at what happened with him. Looks like on this slight left-hander, just not being able to brake a little bit. And I'm starting to think, you know, especially that turn right there that John Crutchley just went through, that's going to be really hard on your tires because you're trying to take that as fast as you possibly can. But it's tough. So we'll start seeing if that pit window opens up here pretty soon. These guys come down for tires. Jason Benson getting a little bit of an off track there. No big deal there, though. Good job to be able to hang on to that steering wheel and avoid getting into the sand too bad. Wayne Hayes pops up once again. Not picking on you there, Wayne. Just doing the replays as they pop up. Maybe we'll give that guy a break there as he struggled here at Laguna Sucka, but he's still out there on the track. He's still fighting. He's still learning. That's the important part right there. Ooh, a nice turn 1 and 2 for the 7 car of Kyle Gretsch. That's how it's done right there. Alan Dixon with a big off track there. Let's go back and rewind that with iRacing. He took a pretty big spill into the sand there. I don't think any damage on his car, but obviously coming through that that sidewinder, if you will. I hate to rewind it like that for you guys, but it's the best I got right now. Locking up the brakes. Rear end started getting away from him a little bit there. Might have to make some adjustments to his brake bias there. Dustin Barton still third. Michael McCuskey in fourth. Ileana Hamilton fifth. John Campbell still holding on to that 6th spot. This is what I talked about before the green flag drop is you don't always have to be the quickest out there, but staying on track, being consistent, not locking up your brakes, you're going to get a ton of spots here on these road courses. We've seen a lot of drivers be able to do that. We have 7 drivers right now, a lap down or more. Tyler Merritt, the only driver that's out of this race officially. Johnny Brugg with a nice cushion between himself and Matt Puricini. Shout out to that number 2 car, Wayne Hayes. Honestly, I think a lot of guys would have gave up on this race. He's had a little bit of a tough time here at Laguna Sucka. He's staying out there on that track, and he's only going to get better. I like seeing that. Determination. Working on racecraft. Sid Kashishian back here in 13th. He's up 1 spot behind him. John Barton He's up 9 spots. He qualified 23rd, sitting in 14th right now, so a good run from that 68 car. These guys on the tail end of that lead lap. Jaden Concert right now in 17th. He is that last car on lead lap. Overdrives it a little bit in that tiny carousel there. Quick, though, to get back on track through that last left-hander. And a good job there by that 8 car. That seems to be his Achilles heel here tonight, is that last left-hander. You see him take it nice and smooth there. So good job by Jaden, getting better every lap that he goes. Let's check in with John Barton. Our latest incident here. We were just talking about how good of a run he had. He sends it a little bit off track. I don't think I finished my point, and I'm glad I saw that. Here at Laguna Sucka, this track is surrounded by the sand and the rocks, and you know, if you go off track or if you full send it through a corner by accident, you don't have to worry about smacking into a wall. You're going to be able to catch that sand and be able to slow your car down. That's why we haven't seen any damage on these cars. It's a little bit of a safety blanket here at Laguna Sucka. Unlike the other road courses, Road America can present that a little bit, but you know, that's grass and not sand, so instead of slowing down and being able to regroup, you kind of just driving on ice, if you will. But some of the other road courses, like Daytona Road Course, Watkins Glen, you go off track, you're, you know, and the Roval as well, surrounded by walls. Oh, and Alan Dixon goes around. We've seen him struggle a few times here on that last left-hander. Right now, Skylar Carnes in complete control of this race, almost 27 seconds. The race leader has over Kyle Gretsch. See just how far these guys are apart from one another visually, as we just saw Skylar Carnes make his way through this part of the track. Here's the second place driver of Kyle Gretsch. So to put that into perspective, quite a bit of distance between himself and the race leader. .24 laps to go here at Laguna Sucka, No Toad Racing League. About midway through the season. Still a pretty tight points battle, believe it or not. Skylar Carnes leading via his bonus points. He's got 11 bonus points on the season. But he's only up. He's leading in points by less than 10 points. So still anybody's season and championship to have. But a fine showing here on these road courses so far. As we take a look at Dustin Barton in the 13 car. He was up front at one time, but he's been struggling just a little bit. Nice job by the 72 car to tuck in low there. Right there on those rumble strips. Able to avoid Dustin Barton as he goes spinning through the Sidewinder. Ileana Hamilton about 5 seconds behind second place Kyle Gretsch, 4 seconds in front of Michael McCuskey. John Campbell running 5th. Johnny Brugg still in that 6th spot, being followed by Matt Urasini in 7th. Kendall Kerr up 8th. Jacob Klinkart in 9th. And Alan Dixon in that 10th spot. With about an 8-second lead or gap between himself and Sid Kashishian. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened with Marty Rogers here. He shows up in the red with a little bit of a disappearing act there. Yeah, just we've seen that here a handful of times. Able to back it on up, throw it in reverse. Good job by the 27 car of Marty Rogers. He was one of those drivers I had my eye on before this race. He's one of the only drivers here tonight with an A-class road license. But not getting it done here tonight in the Arcas. He's back there in that 12th spot. Kyle Gretsch, who was in second for a while, just coming down pit road right now, along with Scott Kelly as well. Michael McCuskey now coming down pit road, I believe. Yep. So Kyle Gretsch from second to 7th on that green flag pit stop, but he's going to have some fresh tires, be able to work around Laguna Sucka with. You can see he's already made that lap. We'll keep an eye out on Skylar Carnes and the rest of the gang up front here. Ileana Hamilton now bumped up to 2nd. John Campbell 3rd. Johnny Brugg moves up to 4th. Matt Piracini in 5th. So with just 22 laps to go, I think the pit window has certainly opened up for some of these drivers, at least wanting tires. We'll see when the leader comes in. At least not this time around. He's going to go around the track at least once more. 21 laps to go this time around for the 47 car of Skylar Carnes, who is enjoying a 26.6 second lead. Alan Dixon goes around, it looks like, once more. Let's take a look at what happened with Slider here in that 33 car. Looks like he's coming in hot. Yep, gets into the back of that 8 car. That's the second time we've seen Alan Dixon struggle through that Sidewinder as far as his braking zone is concerned. Jason Benson involved here in turn 1. Just overshooting it a little bit. And I think what he was doing was giving that area up for Alan Dixon to go around and unfortunately overcompensated for it and actually gets into that sand and spins around there. So the thought was thoughtful. It was a thoughtful play by him, but ended up costing him just a little bit. Matt Piercini coming down pit road this time around. John Campbell as well. So the 24 car coming in, getting some fuel, getting some fresh tires. John Campbell in the Krispy Kreme 117 off pit road now, with Matt Piercini chasing behind him. These guys are back in 7th and 8th right now. 20 laps to go. I'd say about half the field has come down pit road. Skylar Carnes, though, race leader since lap 1, still yet to make his way down. And we'll take a lap around the track with him in the cockpit view. Very consistent from the 47 car here tonight. As you saw him just really being able to work that wheel here, hitting his braking zones, maneuvering around lap traffic, getting a little bit dicey right there. But again, that's what you want to see. I'm not too sure who that was. Might have been the 48 car of John Crutchley, and it was. That's how you want to do it right there. He stayed in his racing line. He was predictable. It got a little hairy between him and Skylar Carnes, but he allowed Skylar to pick his line and make his way past the 48 car. So a good job by John Crutchley to just be able to let that 47 make up his own mind on where he wanted to pass, as he stayed right there in the middle of the track. That's how you do it right there, Mr. John Crutchley. Skylar hitting that little left-hander there so well. He's probably been the quickest through there so far from what I can see tonight. Jacob with a little bit of a trying to make his way through. Yeah, just a little bit too much on the throttle there. Gets sent around, hits the wall. Not too much damage coming out of that 5 car. Able to regain control quickly, and there is the race leader, Skylar Carnes, coming down pit road as we check to see where that number 7 car of Kyle Gretsch is. He's in 2nd place. So this is his moment right here. He's got to have a smooth lap if he has any shot of chasing race leader Skylar Carnes. John Crutchley, Jason Benson with a crash, but we're going to stick with Kyle Gretsch here as he's trying to catch the leader, Skylar Carnes. Skylar going to have to get fuel and 4 tires here. On these road courses, there's not a whole lot of strategy that goes into your pit. You're coming down for fuel. You're coming down for all 4 tires. And Skylar making his way off pit road right now. Kyle Gretsch coming down into turn 1. You can just see how much speed he's carrying there. He knows this is his only opportunity to be able to catch Skylar. And right now, it looks like he's still going to come out 12 seconds behind race leader. Oh, and the 2 car goes off right in front of him. That's Wayne. Gets back on track, but right in front of that 7 car. That's going to cost him a little bit of time as well. Kendall Kerr making a move on Alan Dixon. This is for P9 right here. You see Dixon continuing to struggle through that sidewinder, and this time it looks like it costed him a little bit as he actually hits the wall there with the front end of his car. Let's go back and see if we can see where this damage occurred. Oh, yeah, that's a big smack for the 33 car. That's going to be coming down pit road, getting some repairs done for Alan Dixon. Michael McCuskey up to 3rd. He's looking for his podium here tonight with 18 laps to go. Ileana Hamilton right behind him. That 72 car was sitting in 3rd for the majority of this race. These guys switching positions after these green flag pit stops. So right now it's Michael McCuskey up 1 spot into 3rd. You see him lock the brakes up a little bit, though. You saw the smoke coming out of his car, able, though, to make the turn just fine. Making his way around Wayne. Wayne's going to take it up wide, and the 22 car with a spin. That's Michael McCuskey going around. He's going to lose that 3rd spot to Ileana Hamilton. And unfortunate for that 22 machine of Michael McCuskey. Just coming in a little too hot, having to hit his brakes a little too hard. And that's going to send that rear end around. So he's going to lock up 4th place. This is 5th right now, John Campbell, who, by the way, up 4 spots. Started this race P9, so a good drive for that Krispy Kreme 117 as he finds himself into the top 5, but 6.2 seconds back from Michael McCuskey. Johnny Brugg back in 7th. That's Matt Piracini in front of him, the 24 car. This is 4 position. This is probably the closest race we have going on right now with 16 laps to go, so we'll stay with these guys for a little bit. As you see, the 24 car just struggling a little bit, getting a little bit loose through that left-hander, and unfortunately going off track. That's going to open up the door for Johnny Bruggs to take that 6th spot away from Matt Piracini. Good job by Johnny Brugg, putting a little bit of that added pressure on Matt Piracini. Oh, and Alan Dixon off track again. That seems to be the Achilles heel for a lot of these drivers. It's a very sharp left-hander. And it's a bit awkward. It's hard to explain. But you can see it on the track map. Right there at the bottom of the track map on the left-hand side. That's how sharp that corner is. And you're coming off of a small straightaway, carrying a lot of speed. Probably redlining up into 3rd, maybe switching to 4th. But I would say probably redlining in 3rd. Than having to downshift and hit your brakes and make that sharp turn there. It's not easy. Looks like we have 9 drivers still on the lead lap. Marty Rogers in the 27 car right there in 9th. He's your last car on the lead lap. Jacob Klinkhart, Alan Dixon, Sid Kashishian, 10th, 11th, and 12th. They're all a lap down with the rest of the field. Right there at that 15th with Crutchley. That's when we start getting multiple laps down. So really right now, unless this 47 car of Skyler has engine failure, it looks like he's going to be taking home this. It's still 15 laps to go, but he's got a 25-second lead on Kyle. And right now, he's just hitting all his marks cruise control right now for the 47 machine of Skylar Carnes. You see repping the Trey Carnes designs. That's his brother, of course. Making that paint scheme and that wrap for Skylar. Oh, the 7 car of Kyle Gretsch got a little bit loose there. I thought he was going to lose it through the carousel, but he's able to maintain that. Great awareness by Kyle to be able to tell that rear end was getting ready to slip and be able to save it. A fine job going through that left-hander right there as well. That was very quick compared to what we've seen here throughout the night. So this 7 car of Kyle Gretsch, most certainly another driver locked in. I mean, he's 26 seconds back, but he's had an impressive run here tonight. Of course, starting P3, so he had a good qualifying time. You knew he had a shot to walk away with at least a podium. Eight seconds back is Ileana Hamilton in third. Of course, we saw what happened with Michael McCuskey a few laps ago, which opened up the door for Hamilton to be able to take this third spot. Trying to get caught up with some of these off tracks and these wrecks. It looks like Michael McCuskey in the red here down into turn 1. Which we saw that, of course. My apologies. That's when Hamilton was able to make the pass there for third. Jason Benson caught up in something here. There's that stretch of a straight there right before you get into this left-hander. A lot of guys struggling with that tonight and overshooting that. And, of course, when you're in that gravel sand area, you have no grip. You got to be real careful with that throttle or else that's going to happen to you every time. What we saw there with Jason Benson. Michael McCuskey wrapped up again. This looks like going through the Sidewinder here. Oh, and the car in front of him way off track there. I think that was Sid Kashishian coming in real hot right there, having to lock the brakes. That's pretty hard lick for Sid Kashishian right there. Oh, no, not a hard lick at all. You see just kind of perfectly in the center there. He avoids any of those tire barriers, well, except for right there. Spoke a little bit too soon. But a little bit of a Kurt Busch-esque when we saw the race at COTA earlier in the IRL schedule, being able to avoid any real damage there. He went off track super fast, and it was fortunate that it's such a long stretch there of that sand and gravel, and that goes to my point of what I was talking about earlier. Laguna Sucka, surrounded by the sand and the gravel rather than a bunch of concrete or steel walls, affords these guys to be able to go off track like that and not take any real damage to their car. Oh, we see Johnny Brugg get a little off track there on that quick right-hander before the last turn here, before the straightaway. He's doing just fine, though, being able to maintain control of that. He's still back there in 6th, trying to make some time on a John Campbell, but right now John in 5th, up 17.5 seconds on Johnny Brugg. 12 laps to go here at Laguna Sucka. This is the Laguna Sucka 100, presented by Al Corey. Now, my mistake at the beginning of this broadcast, I thought this was the last road course of the season, but these guys are actually going to be at Iowa road course as well a couple of weeks from now. So a lot of these guys who are struggling but sticking it out, the Marty Rogers and, even Alan Dixon, Jason Benson, Wayne Hayes Jr., another driver that's really struggled here at Laguna Sucka. But these guys are sticking it out. They're racing it to the end. They're only getting better at the road courses, as we still have one more trip to a road course before we wrap up this season. This is vital practice for these guys. It's a different track, of course, but the same style of racing applies. Making sure you're hitting your downshifts, your braking zones. Make sure your brake bias is tuned in. Learning how to take apexes. Trail braking, huge on these road courses. The guys that can do it have 31-second leads over the fields, and the guys that can't are usually a couple of laps down, and that's fine. That's not a knock on anybody. It's just one of them deals when you really start clicking on a road course and you do start learning how to trail brake, and you do start learning about apexes and corner exit speed and all that thing that all those things that go into road course racing. Once it clicks, I mean, it's a good time. It's fun. I mean, it's certainly a different skill set that you have to learn, but a lot of guys, I mean, I know guys that, a couple of months ago, they hated road courses, and the schedule came up, and there was a couple of them. They had to practice, they had to race them, and by the end of it, they were like, hey, this is kind of cool. 10 laps to go for race leader Skylar Carnes. Been your race leader the whole way. Up 33 seconds on second place driver Kyle Gretsch. Ileana Hamilton in third. He's about 7 seconds back from Kyle. Michael McCuskey in fourth, 8 seconds behind Ileana. John Campbell in fifth. So about 14 seconds in front of Johnny Brugg. I think the last time we checked with that, it was about 17 seconds. So Johnny making up just a little bit of time back there. Kendall Kerr now your eighth driver, I believe, with Marty Rogers going a lap down, I think is the last car on the lead lap this time around. We'll double check that. Yep, that is correct. So Kendall Kerr, we have 8 drivers on the lead lap, as Marty Rogers unfortunately goes a lap down since the last time we checked on that. Sid Kashishian and his struggles continue, and it's that last turn again, reaching out and kicking these guys around. As we see it here again with Jacob in the 5 car. Just getting on the throttle a little bit too fast in those conditions right there. And that happens so easily. I mean, you come out of the corner, you come out of the apex, you feel like your car's stable, and you just get on the throttle a little bit too much, and there's no saving it. Once that car decides it's going to slide out from under you, it's pretty hard to regain control. A nice little save there. Could have been a lot worse. These cars being pretty spread out here. I'm trying to find the closest action right now, and it might be with Johnny Brugg and Matt Puricini. Matt Puricini, though, as we switched to Johnny, he was the car at the top of the screen, struggling just a little bit. He's trying to catch Johnny Brugg and get that 6th spot back. So right now, that's a 3.7 gap between Johnny Brugg and Matt Piracini. And that is the closest action on the track right now, as Skyler's been able to go out nearly 40 seconds. Or no, I'm reading that wrong. Excuse me. 34 seconds in front of Kyle Gretsch. John Crutchley in the red again. Let's go ahead and take a replay of what happened with him just a few moments ago. Oh, a big hit into those tires right there and gets sent around. You see the front end damage right there on the right side. Might not be anything too damning there. Johnny Brugg, Alan Dixon, I think, going to get around him here. Jason Benson in the Stay Puffed 42 car, making his way around the 48, trying to make that outside line work. Trying to make sure he gave enough room for that car that was on the inside, but unfortunately by doing so, he ends up overdriving it. You saw the car behind him at the top of the screen way too hard into that corner. That was Alan Dixon, unfortunately. Able to avoid any damage, though. Back on the track is the 33 car of Alan Slider Dixon. Michael McCuskey losing time on Ileana Hamilton. He's almost got a 10-second gap between himself and that 22 car. About 7.7 seconds on back from second-place driver Kyle Gretsch. That affords Kyle a little bit of a, one or two mistakes right now, but Kyle's got to be real careful. Ileana's ran a pretty consistent race right now, so Kyle's going to have to make sure if he wants to take home that second place, he is consistent from here on out, all 7 laps. That is the separation right here. Skyler Carnes up there in first by 35 seconds. We'll switch back to second place driver Kyle Gretsch. That's how much that lead looks like visually here at Laguna Sucka. Almost a half track advantage. So with just 5 laps to go, and we see Johnny Brugg there getting a little bit loose, able to save it. Good job there. I think that gravel started to make its way out of that rumble strip as you exit turn 3, sending Johnny just a little bit sideways there, able to maintain it. But 5 laps to go. Skylar Carnes with a very comfortable lead. Kyle Gretsch with a really good run. Ileana Hamilton with a good run. John Campbell up 5 spots. He's one of the A-class drivers who I thought would have a pretty good shot here in this race, and a good showing for him, qualifying 9th, and not only making his way up to 4th, but pretty much staying there ever since. Michael McCuskey in 5th. He's had a couple of struggles here, but still finds himself 18 seconds in front of Johnny Brugg. So a top 5 for Michael McCuskey, who comes in with a rookie road license, would be a really good finish for that 22 Chevrolet. So we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. Skylar Carnes came into tonight's race with 3 wins, leading the point standings with 165. Matt Piracini with 157, so only an 8-point lead for Skylar. Johnny Brugg in that 3rd spot with 135. So 3rd on back, they got a little bit of catching up to do with Skylar and Matt, but Matt having a heck of a season right now. Running 7th. I'm sure he wishes he had a little bit of a better run here. Try to close that gap with Skylar, but that's only going to grow bigger after this race. Johnny Brugg 4th. Marty Rogers and Kendall Kerr 4th and 5th in the points. Alan Dixon 6th. Marty Rogers still on the lead lap in 9th. Looks like he's going to walk away with a top 10 here. So that'll be good for his campaign. Again, he's 4th with 134 points, only 1 point off Johnny Brugg. So he won't see that. He won't see Johnny slip away too far after tonight's race. Kendall Kerr, again, he's on the lead lap in 8th. He's 5th in the point standings. Speaking of Marty Rogers, let's go ahead and take a look at his latest adventure here at Laguna Sucka. Getting a little bit sideways through there. We've seen that quite a bit here. And we talked about that at the beginning of the race. I mean, I had thought that would be the toughest part of the track for these drivers. And in the early going, these guys did that phenomenally, and there's Skylar's first mistake. No need to panic. He's got a 35-second lead over Kyle, so he just needs to take a deep breath, get back on track, and dust that off, and that's what he does. But I thought that Sidewinder, that's what I'm calling it anyways, I don't know the official name, was going to be the problem, but it actually was that last turn, that last left-hander that gave everybody trouble. But on these long green flag, well, we've been green the whole way, but on these long green runs before everybody came down pit road for tires, that really started to become an issue. Everybody came down pit road. That problem seemed to go away, but since then, the tire wear really started to show through that part of the track, as we've seen just about everybody struggle through that section of the track. White flag next time around. Yeah, even with that little mishap, it looks like a 36.6 second lead for Skylar Carnes. Has a huge cushion right now there on the track. He could probably do that a couple of more times and still walk away with the race lead here tonight. A phenomenal drive for the 47 car. Dominant at the ovals and even more so on the road courses. Skylar Carnes is going to pick up his second road course win of the season, taking the Daytona road course a couple of weeks ago. We'll head to Iowa road course in a couple of weeks to see if he's able to make that sweep on the season. And right now, doesn't look like anybody can touch him on the road courses, except maybe Wayne there in front of him right there. But fine job by Wayne, not panicking, making it through that left-hand turn. And again, holding his race line. He's allowing Skylar to choose how he wants to go around him. And that's so important as Skylar takes the white flag here, to be as predictable as possible. Yeah, there you go, Jackal. Thank you. Thank you. Was having a brain fart up here in the booth. Oh, Skylar almost get a little bit loose there, drifted his way through that left-hander. Skylar making his way through the corkscrew for the final time here tonight. Through the carousel. And he's going to pick up his fourth win of the season. The kid on fire, Skylar Carnes, winning the Laguna Sucka 100. Making his way through the front stretch, and the celebration might be starting just a little bit early for the 47 car. A heck of a run there, a dominant run. 37 seconds was the lead on Kyle Gretsch as he came across that start-finish line. Still plenty of drivers, though, looking for a clean finish. The 7 car of Kyle Gretsch going to walk out of here with a podium. A fabulous job by Kyle. Took second place and really never looked back. He makes his way through that left-hander. Johnny Brugg, though, unfortunately, back there in 6th. Looks like he goes off track. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what happened there. Yeah, just that last left-hander there. Ileana Hamilton across the line. John Campbell finishing in 4th. Michael McCuskey making his way through the left-hander for the last time. A good finish for Michael McCuskey. A real up-and-down race for that 22 car. We saw him in some scenarios where he was off track. Wasn't too sure where his confidence was going to be, and it was right where he needed it to be as he finishes. Johnny Brugg now coming across the start-finish line. He picks up a solid P6 in front of Matt Puricini. Those guys battling out all night long. Kendall Kerr back in 8th. Marty Rogers, Jacob Klinkart 9th, Marty Rogers 10th, John Barton 11th, Alan Dixon 12th, Scott Kelly 13th, Sid Kashishi in 14th, and John Crutchley in 15th. We'll show you all the unofficial results there on the left part of your screen. Pretty good race by my standards. I mean, look, it's your typical race. Some guys are going to struggle on tracks like this. Some guys we saw in the top 3, top 4, really showing their skills here at the road course. But a really good job by all these drivers at No Toad Racing League, even the guys that were struggling pretty bad. I mean, they stayed on the track. They finished the race. Hats off to all these drivers that ran here tonight. See if we can get some guys in here for some race interviews. Hopefully, speak to at least the podium drivers, Ileana Hamilton in the 72, Kyle Gretsch in the 7, and of course, race winner Skylar Carnes. But, I wasn't too sure how this race was going to play out. If it was going to be, a really sloppy race and have, havoc all over the track. It really wasn't. I mean, we saw some off tracks, but as I said before, if you're not pushing your car, then you're not going to get any off tracks, right? But you got to push your car. So we saw plenty of off tracks here tonight, but I think a lot of them were just guys that were just really pushing their cars on the limit. Right now, it looks like third place driver Ileana Hamilton coming into the Discord. Nickname Speed. Hamilton, you got a copy?
Yep, loud and clear.
So a third place finish here tonight. It's got to feel good at the road course. I know there was a couple of drivers that I was keying in on. There was some, there's some drivers that have the A class in here. John Campbell, Marty Rogers, John Barton. There was some rookie road class drivers. And then there was guys like you and Kyle and Skyler, sitting there in that C class. You have a little bit of experience. Is that all from stock car racing, or do you venture out and do some road racing?
It's mainly road racing, actually.
Okay, like GT3s, GT4s?
I like the open wheels.
Okay, absolutely. So obviously you can't really compare an open wheel to a stock car, but what you can compare is the mindset. You have to learn about braking zones and downshifting and hitting apexes, and I think that's the biggest thing with the oval guys that don't really have a lot of road course experiences is trying to learn all that on the fly. But you being able to bring in a little bit of that experience, like you were talking about, a clean third place finish. How'd you feel that everything went out there for you?
It went pretty good. I made a few mistakes. I made one mistake early. But yeah, luckily I was able to salvage a podium finish.
Yeah, and walking away with a ton of points here. Just a phenomenal job. Before I let you go, Hamilton, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad. Hope he's watching right now.
Right on, man. All right, man. Well, we appreciate your time. Congrats on a strong P3. Heck of a run there, Hamilton.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.
Next up, second place driver. That's going to be Kyle Gretsch in the 7 car. Kyle, you with us?
Yes, sir.
So a strong P2. It looked like nobody was going to be able to catch Skylar Carnes. He picks up his second road course win of the season, but it's so important to come into these road courses and perform well, because really it's the biggest opportunity to come in here and take advantage of the drivers who may not have that road experience. So talk to us a little bit about these ARCA cars at Laguna Sucka and your run here in the ARCAs.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't a fan of running these on the road courses, but I find these absolutely just the most fun thing to run on these tricky road courses. Laguna is a little bit more challenging than what we did earlier with Daytona. I think you could see that with just the performance gap in between first and second and third. But yeah, it was challenging. At the end there, I was kind of not feeling well, so that's part of why I was dropping back to Ileana there.
Well, still able to hold on to the second place. Fortunately, you had yourself a pretty decent sized gap onto Hamilton there to where you could afford to drop back. Hopefully, you feel a little bit better, Kyle, but congratulations on a strong P2.
Thank you. Me and Skylar doing 1-2 in the road courses. Hopefully, we can do that at what is it, Iowa? We do with the road courses.
Yeah,
We can swap
Iowa in a couple
positions.
of weeks. Yeah, you're going to have to take Skyler out. You can't let him get the sweep there.
I was doing a pretty good job of stealing at least one lap away from him, and I didn't do that today, so fairly disappointed with that.
well, you'll have another shot down the road. Of course, a couple of ovals before then, but look forward to that road course as well. For tonight, Kyle, congratulations, P2, taking a ton of points into next week.
Alrighty, thank you guys. That was fun.
Yes, it was. And now the 47 car of Skyler. Karn, Skyler, you led the race from the green flag drop. You ran Daytona Road Course. You won that. You walk into Laguna Seca and you win this. Talk to me a little bit about just the comfort level you obviously have with the road courses and just what made you so dominant and consistent here at Laguna Seca.
So for me, it was a personal vendetta. I raced this a year ago in another league that I was in, and I was just inconsistent. Could not figure out how to drive a stock car at a road course, especially the ARCA cars, because that's what we ran too. So coming back, seeing that Laguna Seca was on the schedule, I made it my personal mission to finish better than what I did and be consistent and make less mistakes and just race. And then after did Daytona road course, I've had terrible luck with stock cars and road courses, and I just, took a step back, took a breather, figured out, okay, what am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm overdriving the car. So I start pushing a little bit less. I'm like, okay, now I just need to make it to where I'm not sliding on exits, just be smooth on the throttle. And ever since I found that out, I've I don't know how I got this speed. It just happened, and I'm just gonna go with it. I'm very happy from where I finished at the road course, North Wilkesboro, and here tonight. Definitely here at Laguna Seca, it was a blast. We still had a few mistakes. I still took it in the dirt a few times because I got out of my grooves. I was looking over at the black box in VR, and then I look up and I missed my braking point, so I sent it. Sid got loose in front of me, and I didn't know what to do, so I had to spin it, and otherwise I was going to hit him and just some other little tad bits. But luckily, I had that lead, 30-second lead barrier to where if I made a mistake, I'd still be out front and not have to worry about battling somebody. So it definitely paid off. The vendetta has been paid.
Yeah, the Vendetta paid, as you said, just a big lead throughout the race, a phenomenal race for you personally. And I think everybody in the league, I mean, everybody put it in the dirt. I think it can be hard not to. And, whether you're racing hard or like you said, you're looking over at the black box, next thing you know, I mean, that's how road racing is. Everything has to be such on point and so consistent that even looking at your black box and maybe going into the braking zone a little late, next thing you know, you're in the gravel. But a heck of a run here. I talked with Kyle a moment ago, and we were talking about not letting you sweep at Iowa. He wants a road course win. So I think he might put in a little bit of extra practice laps for Iowa when we go there a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we got some ovals. Obviously, you're on a hot streak here, not only in this league, but other leagues as well. It really seems like you got these ARCA cars down to a T. So look forward to calling the rest of the season with you out there. And, before we let you go, is there anybody you have in mind that you'd like to shout out?
I definitely want to thank any fan of the 47 car out there tonight. I also want to wish my buddy James a happy birthday. It's his birthday today, and I dedicated the win to him if I were to get it tonight, and I did. So it goes out to him for sure. I definitely want to thank, Trey Carnes Designs, my teammate Johnny Brugg with Rocket Skylord Racing, Tyler Merritt as well. I want to thank everybody in the league, you for putting on the broadcast. Like it's just going to keep going up from here. We've had some up and downs throughout the league, but in the end of the day, we settle our arguments and we become friends again, and we realize that it's just a group of friends racing each other hard week in and week out, and it's a blast. I really truly enjoy this league. It's brought me back in the sim racing tenfold, and I just love it.
Yeah, now I just got to get you to stop dominating the other league on Thursdays.
I I didn't expect that coming in, to be honest with you. I didn't, and now I have a set mission of finishing first or second every week just to keep that streak alive.
Yeah.
Here, I don't mind if I lose, a race. To be honest, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are tired of seeing that 47 be up in the front. So if somebody else wins it in this in NTRL, congrats to them, because it is tough to win one of these races. It's especially at a road course, you like you were saying, you cannot lose focus. You got to find a braking, a marker, a land marker for these braking zones. If you don't have one, then you're just going to be set to fail in a race. You got to find a braking zone and constantly hit that. When your tires wear out, you got to pull back that braking zone, because your rears are going to wear out from getting on the gas and everything. So trying to slow the car down, you're going to have to ease on the brakes and brake a little earlier from fresher tires, so to speak. You just got to adjust, and once you fine tune that, you'll be able to road race pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Skyler taking home his second road course win of the season, your fourth overall. The points battle was getting really tight, and a big win here to try to separate that gap a little bit more. Skyler, we appreciate your time and your insight, and we look forward to talking to you down the road.
Oh, no problem. I can't wait for Bristol Dirt, my home track, next week.
Yeah, it ought to be a good one. All right, Skyler.
Take care, Brandon.
So that was Skyler Carnes, race leader, picking up his fourth win of the season and making it look easy. A lot of drivers here, though, having some good runs themselves. Kyle Gretsch second, Ileana Hamilton in third, John Campbell fourth, Michael McCuskey. We talked about his struggles there throughout the race, up and down for him. A solid P5, Johnny Bruggs in sixth, Matt Piracini in seventh. He came in second in points right now, so he really needed that top 10 that he got. Kendall Kerr in eighth, Jacob Kleinhart in ninth, and Marty Rogers 10th. A heck of a race here at the Laguna Sucka 100. I'm Brandon Robinson for Faded TV. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next Sunday at 8:15 Central. We'll see you then.